Commander Lee Dae-ho stood at the observation deck of Mining Station 7, watching the giant machines pull helium-3 from the gas clouds below. New Sol was humanity's prize colony, floating in the upper atmosphere of Kepler 442c. The work never stopped here. Day and night, the extractors pulled the precious fuel that powered Earth's fusion reactors. Dae-ho had been running this operation for 3 years. He knew every sound the machines made, every vibration in the metal floors. That's why he noticed, when something changed. The sensors picked up something big coming out of hyperspace. Very big. "Sir, we have unknown contacts," said technician Kim Woo-jin from the control room. His voice was tight with worry. Multiple ships, massive energy, signatures. Dae-ho rushed to the main display. What he saw made his blood freeze. 12 enormous vessels hung in space like dark mountains. Each one was larger than Earth's biggest space station. They had strange curved designs that looked like insect shells. No human had ever built ships like these. "Get me Admiral Kang Soo-bin on the quantum relay," Dae-ho ordered. "Emergency priority." While they waited for the connection, the alien ships did nothing. They just floated there, silent and threatening. The mining crews stopped their work to stare out the windows. Everyone knew this was first contact with an alien species. Everyone also knew this didn't look friendly. Admiral Kang Soo-bin appeared, on the main screen 30 minutes later. She was aboard the Earth Defense Fleet flagship Indomitable, 3 days away at maximum speed. Her face was calm, but Dae-ho could see the tension in her eyes. "Report, Commander," she said. 12 unknown. "Vessels of enormous size," Dae-ho replied. "No response to our hailing frequencies, they're just waiting." "We're moving to your position," Kang Soo-bin said. "Do not take any aggressive action. Try to establish communication." Before Dae-ho could respond, every screen in the station flickered. A new signal was coming through, overriding all their systems. The image that appeared made several technicians step backward. The creature on the screen stood 12 feet tall. Its body was covered in dark, shiny plates like armor made of bone. 6 arms moved with fluid precision, each ending in sharp claws. Most frightening were its eyes. Hundreds of small black eyes arranged in clusters like a spider's. When it spoke, the words came through a translation device. The voice was cold and mechanical. "Inferior species. I am High Executor, Threndalis, of the Velthari Empire. You have contaminated sacred territory with your presence." Dae-ho stepped forward. "I am Commander Lee Dae-ho, representing humanity. We claim this system by right of settlement," and the alien made a sound like grinding metal. It was laughing. "You claim nothing, insect. For 3,000 years the Velthari have ruled this region of space. Your species crawled from its mudball and dared to touch what belongs to us." Dr. Park Hee-jin, the station's xenobiologist, was recording everything. She whispered to Dae-ho, "Look at the technology. Their ship systems, their translation matrix. They're centuries ahead of us." The High Executor continued, "You have 48 of your standard time units to remove all presence from this system. Return to your origin world and never leave it again. This is not a negotiation, this is an order." "We have 7 colonies with millions of people," Dae-ho said. "We can't just abandon. Your numbers are meaningless, your colonies are meaningless. You are meaningless." The alien's clustered eyes seemed to focus directly on him. "Lesser species do not argue with their superiors." Admiral Kang Soo-bin's voice came through the station's communication system. She had been listening to everything. "This is Admiral Kang Soo-bin of the Earth Defense Fleet. We request diplomatic talks to resolve this peacefully." The High Executor turned its attention to her image. "Admiral, a military title, how amusing. Do your people train beetles to command armies as well?" "We are not beetles," Kang Soo-bin replied, her voice steady. "We are humans, and we have the right to exist in this galaxy." "Rights?" The alien's laughter grew louder. "Rights are earned through strength." "Show me your strength, human admiral." What happened next would be burned into Dae-ho's memory forever. One of the alien ships fired a single beam of purple energy. The beam struck asteroid mining platform Delta 7, an unmanned facility 50 kilometers away. The platform didn't explode. It didn't break apart. It simply vanished, reduced to individual atoms in less than a second. That was our weakest weapon, the High Executor said. 47 time units remain. The transmission ended. The alien ships returned to their silent waiting. Deho looked around the control room. Every face showed the same expression, fear mixed with disbelief. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it was terrifying. "Sir," Kim Woo-jin said quietly, "what do we do?" Before Deho could answer, President Yoon Tae-min's voice came through the emergency broadcast system. He was addressing all human colonies from Earth. "Citizens of humanity," the president said. "We have made contact with an alien empire called the Velthari. They have demanded our complete withdrawal from all colonies. I want every person listening to understand. We will not abandon our homes. We will not run back to Earth like frightened children." Dr. Park Hae-jin was studying the sensor data from the alien ships. "Commander," she said, "I'm picking up energy patterns that match historical records." "What kind of historical records?" "Dead systems," she replied. "We've found 17 star systems with ruins of advanced civilizations. The energy signatures match these ships. I think the Velthari have done this before." The implication hit everyone at once. These aliens weren't just threatening humanity. They were serial killers on a galactic scale. 47 hours, Deho said to himself. 47 hours to figure out how to fight gods. Outside the station windows, the alien ships continued their patient vigil. They had given humanity a deadline, confident that no inferior species could challenge the might of the Velthari Empire. They had no idea that humans were very good at proving bullies wrong. Admiral Kang Soo-bin's final transmission of the day was brief but clear. "All colonies maintain position. All military units prepare for combat operations. If they want to fight, we'll give them one they'll never forget." The countdown had begun. Intelligence Officer Kim Woo-jin had not slept in 36 hours. His eyes burned as he stared at the data streaming across his screens aboard the Indomitable. The Velthari were not being careful with their communications. They talked freely, as if humans were too primitive to understand their language. They were wrong. Human computers had cracked their basic communication codes in 12 hours. What Kim Woo-jin found in those intercepted messages made his stomach turn. "Admiral," he called to Kang Soo-bin, "you need to see this." Kang Soo-bin walked over to his station. Her face was drawn with exhaustion, but her eyes remained sharp. "What do you have?" "Records of their previous encounters," Kim Woo-jin said. He pulled up a holographic display showing star charts. Red dots marked dead systems. 17 civilizations in the past 1,000 years. They follow the same pattern every time. The display showed the progression. First contact, demands for surrender, refusal, then complete extermination. The Velthari called it cleansing. They spoke about it the way humans might discuss cleaning their homes. The Kethanari were aquatic. Advanced biotechnology, peaceful culture. Extinct 400 years ago. Kim Woo-jin highlighted another system. The Drolvani were silicon-based life forms. They built cities that were living crystals. Gone 600 years ago. Kang Soo-bin studied the data. "What about species that fought back?" "That's the problem," Kim Woo-jin replied. "None of them really did. The Kethanari tried diplomacy until the end. The Drolvani hid in their crystal cities. Others just ran or surrendered immediately. From the alien communications, it was clear the Velthari had never faced serious resistance. Warcast Commander Zethmarok was already bragging to his subordinates about another easy cleansing. He compared humans to previous victims, expecting the same quick victory. "They think this will be a training exercise," Kim Woo-jin said. Meanwhile, in the fleet's engineering section, Fleet Captain Cho Min-seo was discovering something the Velthari had overlooked. She was reading through Earth's military history, looking for any tactical advantage humans might have. What she found changed everything. "We're different," she told her assembled officers. Every species the Velthari destroyed were either herd animals, pack hunters with limited fighting experience or highly advanced but peaceful civilizations. She brought up images of human warfare throughout history. We evolved as persistence hunters. We chased prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. But more than that, we never stopped fighting each other. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. Humans have been at war for our entire existence, Cho Min-seo continued. Tribal warfare, city-states, empires, world wars. We developed tactics, strategy, deception. We learned to fight smarter enemies with better weapons. Engineer Nam Gildong was in the lower decks working on a different kind of problem. The Velthari ships had energy shields that could deflect any directed energy weapon humans possessed. Their armor could absorb the impact of most kinetic weapons. But Nam Gildong was looking at mining equipment, not military weapons. These asteroid crackers, he said to his team, they're designed to split rocks that are harder than any ship armor. The mining charges used controlled fusion reactions to fracture asteroids. They weren't weapons, but they didn't need to be. Nam Gildong realized that a mining charge with a fusion core could punch through any shield, because shields were designed to stop energy beams, not nuclear explosions delivered by kinetic impact. We can turn every mining ship into a bomber, he told his assistant. Load them with modified charges, get them close to alien ships, and detonate. Back on New Seoul, Commander Lee Dae-ho was receiving orders that made no sense. Admiral Kang Subin wanted him to prepare for total evacuation of the mining colony, but the evacuation ship she was sending could only carry a fraction of the population. The real message was hidden in military code. Make it look like humans were preparing to run, but actually prepare for the biggest ambush in human history. Velthari were monitoring human communications. They saw evacuation preparations and felt satisfied. High Executor Threndalis sent a message to his fleet. The insects understand their place. This will end quickly. Governor Bae So-young of the Ao agricultural colony New Busan received similar evacuation orders. Her response was broadcast on all human frequencies. We stand together, or we fall alone. The Velthari intercepted this transmission too. They interpreted it as human desperation, a last defiant gesture before inevitable surrender. They were wrong again. Dr. Park Hyojin was studying the biological data from the alien transmissions. The Velthari were impressive physically, but she noticed something important in their behavior patterns. They're not adapted for individual combat, she told Commander Lee Dae-ho. Look at their formation flying, their communication patterns. They function as a collective organism. They've never had to develop personal initiative or tactical flexibility. This matched what Fleet Captain Cho Min-seo had discovered about human warfare. Humans fought as individuals who could work together. The Velthari fought as a collective that couldn't function when separated. Warcast Commander Zethmarok was already selecting which human colony to attack first. In intercepted communications, he discussed the decision with casual indifference. We shall begin with their agricultural settlement, he told his subordinates. Food production worlds always break their spirit fastest. Once the others see New Busan, they will surrender without further resistance. Intelligence officer Kim Woo-jin translated this for Admiral Kang Subin. They're going to hit New Busan first. 3 ships, standard bombardment pattern. Perfect, Kang Subin replied. Signal Governor Bae So-young. Tell her she's about to become the most important person in human history. The Velthari began moving toward New Busan with complete confidence. They had done this 17 times before. They knew exactly how it would end, but humans had been fighting for survival since they climbed down from trees. And they had learned something the Velthari had never needed to know. Sometimes the prey fights back. Sometimes the prey wins. Engineer Nam Gildong finished modifying the first batch of mining charges. Each one now carried enough fusion material to vaporize a city block. If they want to see human mining technology, he said, let's show them how we crack the really big rocks. The countdown continued. 22 hours until the Velthari deadline. 22 hours until the galaxy learned what happened when someone threatened humanity's children. War Commander Desh Torak guided his 3 cruisers toward the human agricultural world with casual confidence. New Busan hung before them like a blue-green jewel, covered in farmlands and small cities. It would be another simple cleansing. Standard bombardment pattern, he ordered his gunnery crews. Eliminate the major population centers first. The survivors will surrender within hours. Behind him, his subordinates prepared the ground forces. 2,000 Velthari warriors in full combat armor, ready to finish what the orbital strikes began. It was massive overkill for a primitive farming world, but the Empire had protocols. On New Busan's surface, Planetary Defense Coordinator Ryu Jae-sung watched the alien ships approach on his tactical display. 40,000 colonists had spent the last 30 hours preparing for this moment. None of them were running. All stations report ready, came the voice of militia leader Oh Dong-min. The welcome party is in position. Ryu Jae-sung activated the planetary communication system one last time. Citizens of New Busan, this is it. Remember, silence until the signal. Complete silence. Across the planet, humans disappeared. War Commander Torak's sensors showed something impossible. One moment New Busan displayed normal energy signatures, cities, farms, communication networks. The next moment everything went dark. Sensor malfunction? Asked his tactical officer. Run diagnostics, Torak ordered, but the diagnostics showed the sensors working perfectly. The human world had simply gone silent. No power grids, no communication signals, no movement signatures, nothing. They evacuated, concluded the tactical officer. Cowards ran at the first sign of our approach. Torak studied the readings. Something felt wrong, but he couldn't identify what. The Empire's protocols were clear. Verify extinction, eliminate any survivors, secure the system. Deploy ground forces, he ordered. Confirm the world is empty. In the abandoned mining tunnels beneath New Busan's largest farming region, 40,000 humans waited in complete darkness. They had cut all power, shut down all electronics, and hidden in a network of underground passages that stretched across 3 continents. Militia leader Oh Dong-min crouched next to former mining foreman Lee Jin-ho in Tunnel Complex 7. Around them, families huddled together in the blackness. Children as young as 8 held modified mining tools. Grandparents in their 80s gripped improvised weapons. Remember, Oh Dong-min whispered. They think like a machine. They follow patterns. When they land, they'll spread out to cover maximum territory with minimum forces. Above them, Velthari dropships descended through the atmosphere. Their sensors detected no life signs, no energy sources, no signs of resistance. Each ship carried 50 warriors to secure large areas of empty farmland. Captain Song Ha-yeon drifted in the modified freighter Silent Thunder among the asteroids at the system's edge. Around her, 11 other converted cargo ships waited with their engines cold and their crews holding their breath. Each ship carried engineer Nam Gil-dong's modified mining charges, fusion-powered kinetic killers that could crack open a moon. The Velthari had not even noticed them in the asteroid field. Patience, Song Ha-yeon told her crew over the ship's internal communication. Let them commit to the surface landing. The first Velthari warriors touched down in the main farming valley where New Busan grew most of its food. They moved in perfect formation, sweeping through empty farmhouses and abandoned equipment yards. No life signs detected, reported squad leader Vrenthalos. World appears successfully evacuated. More dropships landed. Soon, 2,000 alien warriors were spread across New Busan's surface in small groups, following standard protocols for securing an abandoned world. That's when Planetary Defense Coordinator Ryu Jae-sung gave the signal. The silence broke like a dam bursting. From concealed positions in every farm building, every storage shed, every irrigation ditch, humans opened fire. Modified agricultural equipment became artillery. Crop harvesters became mobile weapons platforms. Irrigation systems became delivery methods for explosive devices. Velthari squad leader Vrenthalos found himself surrounded by weapons fire from positions that hadn't existed moments before. His sensors had detected nothing but humans were emerging from underground tunnels, hidden bunkers, and camouflage positions everywhere. Impossible, he transmitted to his commander. The world was empty. But it wasn't empty. It was an ambush on a planetary scale. In orbit, War Commander Deshtorak watched his ground forces disappear from his tactical display one by one. What is happening down there? Before anyone could answer, 12 modified cargo ships emerged from the asteroid field at maximum acceleration. Captain Song Hayan's voice cut through the Velthari communications on their own frequency. "Surprise," she said in perfect Velthari. The Silent Thunder and her sister ships had spent months hidden in the asteroid belt, their crews learning alien language and studying captured communication codes. Now they closed on the 3 cruisers like wolves attacking elk. War Commander Deshtorak ordered his ships to fire, but the human vessels were too small and too fast. They darted between energy beams, using the asteroids as cover. The first mining charge struck his flagship's shields at 15% of light speed. The shields were designed to stop energy weapons and normal projectiles. They were not designed to stop a nuclear device traveling at relativistic velocity. The explosion tore through the ship's entire port section. Atmosphere vented into space as the cruiser spun out of control. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Deshtorak ordered. But his subordinates were already dying. The Silent Thunder put another mining charge through the second cruiser's engine section. The third ship tried to retreat, but ran into mining charges from 3 different human vessels. On the planet's surface, militia leader Oh Dong-min led his people out of the tunnels to finish the stranded Velthari ground forces. The aliens fought bravely, but they were isolated, outnumbered, and fighting an enemy that knew every inch of the terrain. "This is impossible," Squad leader Vren Thalos transmitted as human fighters closed in around his position. "We are the Velthari. Lesser species do not defeat us." Former mining foreman Lee Jin-ho stepped out of the shadows with a modified plasma cutter in his hands. "We're not lesser," he said in broken Velthari. "We're just better at this." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, not a single Velthari warrior remained alive to report what had happened. In the orbital wreckage, War Commander Deshtorak transmitted his final message to the main Velthari fleet. "They were waiting for us. The humans, they knew we were coming, they were ready." The transmission cut off as the Silent Thunder delivered the final mining charge to his command deck. Admiral Kang Subin received Captain Song Hayan's after-action report aboard the Indomitable. "All Velthari forces eliminated, 0 human. Military casualties, 18 wounded, mostly minor injuries." Kang Subin opened a communication channel to the main Velthari fleet. High Executor Threndalis appeared on her screen, his cluster eyes wide with disbelief. "Impossible," the alien said. "Our task force was completely destroyed. No inferior species has ever—" "Your task force came to kill farmers," Kang Subin interrupted. "They found soldiers instead. Every human world has 40,000 more soldiers, just like them." She paused, letting that sink in. "You wanted to see how humans fight. Congratulations. Lesson 1 is complete. Would you like to continue your education?" The transmission ended. The countdown clock showed 8 hours until the original deadline. But the deadline didn't matter anymore. The Velthari had just learned that humans didn't fight like any species they had encountered before, and this was only the beginning. High Executor Threndalis stared at the tactical display showing the complete destruction of War Commander Deshtorak's force. In 3,000 years of Velthari expansion, no inferior species had ever eliminated an entire task force. "Impossible," he said for the 3rd time. "Sensors must be malfunctioning." But his intelligence officers confirmed the data. 3 cruisers destroyed. 2,000 warriors dead. No survivors. The High Executor's rage filled the bridge of his flagship with pheromone signals that made his crew step back in fear. "Send Grand Admiral Vexithorin. 50 ships, 200,000 ground forces. Sterilize every human world completely." "Sir," his tactical advisor said carefully, "perhaps we should study their methods first." "No," Threndalis roared. "We are Velthari. We do not study insects, we crush them." Grand Admiral Vexathoran received his orders with the same arrogance that had doomed his predecessor. He assembled the largest Velthari fleet ever sent against a single species, and set course for the Kepler 442 system, where humanity's most valuable colony orbited the gas giant. Military analyst Seo Kyung-min aboard the Indomitable intercepted the Velthari communications and smiled grimly. "Admiral, they're doing exactly what we expected." Admiral Kang Subin studied the intelligence reports. "Same tactics, just bigger numbers?" "Exactly. They're so used to easy victories, they've forgotten how to adapt." Seo Kyung-min highlighted the alien fleet movements. "Grand Admiral Vexathoran is following standard Velthari doctrine, overwhelming force applied to the strongest target." "Then we give them what they expect," Kang Subin said. "Signal Logistics Commander Moon In-ho. Begin the retreat." The fighting withdrawal began 3 days later. Human ships engaged the advancing Velthari fleet in running battles across 2 star systems, always falling back toward Kepler 442. To alien observers, it looked like humanity was desperately defending their most important colony. Commander Lee Dae-ho received new orders that seemed insane. Chief Engineer Yoon Bo-ram wanted him to evacuate all personnel from the Helium-3 processing stations around New Seoul. "Ma'am, those stations represent humanity's entire energy infrastructure," he protested. "Not anymore," Yoon Bo-ram replied. "Now they represent something much more valuable." While the human fleet retreated, Yoon Bo-ram's engineering teams worked frantically in the Kepler 442 system. The massive Helium-3 processing stations that had taken years to build were being converted into the largest bombs in human history. Each station contained enough fusion material to power a city for a century. When detonated simultaneously, they would create a chain reaction that could destroy anything within 1,000,000 kilometers. "The Velthari will expect us to defend the stations," Yoon Bo-ram explained to her team. "Instead, we're turning them into mousetraps." Tactical Officer Han Seok-jin coordinated the placement of additional surprises throughout the system. Modified. Asteroid miners, each carrying fusion charges, were positioned along the approach routes Grand Admiral Vexathoran's fleet would use. "Remember," Han Seok-jin told the mining ship crews, "you're not warships. You're just civilian vessels trying to evacuate. Act scared." Grand Admiral Vexathoran's fleet arrived at Kepler 442 exactly as military analyst Seo Kyung-min had predicted. 50 massive warships in perfect formation, advancing on New Seoul with overwhelming confidence. "Humans are defending their primary colony," Vexathoran observed. "They have withdrawn their entire fleet to this system. We will destroy them all at once and end this annoyance." Captain Cho Min-seo commanded the human defense fleet from her modified heavy cruiser. Around her, 30 human warships prepared for what looked like a hopeless last stand against overwhelming odds. "All ships," she broadcast, "remember the plan. Make it look good." The battle began with long-range exchanges between the fleets. Human ships took heavy damage and began falling back toward New Seoul's orbital infrastructure. Several vessels appeared to be destroyed, their crews evacuating in escape pods. Grand Admiral Vexathoran was pleased. Exactly as expected. Humans fight bravely but lack the technology to threaten us. His ships advanced in perfect formation, following 3,000-year-old tactical doctrine. The Velthari had used the same approach to destroy 17 civilizations. It had never failed. But 17 civilizations had never been humans. The modified asteroid miners drifted helplessly in the space around New Seoul, their crews apparently panicked by the approaching alien fleet. Velthari sensors detected them as non-threatening civilian vessels. "Ignore the mining ships," Vexathoran ordered. "Focus on military targets." That was his first mistake. When the Velthari fleet reached optimal firing position for the Helium-3 processing stations, Admiral Kang Subin gave the signal. Chief Engineer Yoon Bo-ram triggered the detonation sequence from her command ship. "Fire in the hole," she said calmly. The processing stations exploded simultaneously in a cascade of fusion fire that lit up the entire system. The chain reaction created a wall of nuclear plasma that swept through the Velthari formation like the breath of an angry god. Grand Admiral Vexathoran's flagship survived the initial blast, but 23 other ships simply vanished in the fusion storm. Impossible, he transmitted. They destroyed their own infrastructure. That's what humans do. Captain Cho Min-seo replied on the Velthari communication frequency. We destroy everything rather than let bullies have it. The surviving Velthari ships tried to retreat, but the modified mining vessels revealed their true nature. Fusion charges struck alien hulls at relativistic velocities, punching through shields and armor like paper. Tactical Officer Han Seok-jin coordinated the assault from his command post. Mining Ship 7, you have a cruiser at 2 o'clock. Mining Ship 12, take out that destroyer before it can signal for help. The battle became a rout. Velthari ships, designed for overwhelming firepower against helpless targets, couldn't adapt to fighting smaller, faster vessels that struck from unexpected angles. Grand Admiral Vexithorin found himself commanding only 7 ships from the 50 he had brought. His formation was broken, his tactics useless against an enemy that refused to fight by established rules. All ships retreat, he ordered. Signal the High Executor. The humans, they fight like nothing we have encountered. But Captain Song, Haiyan's Silent Thunder was waiting on the retreat route with more mining charges. Sorry, she broadcast, but we can't let you go home and tell your friends about our new toys. 6 more Velthari ships died in the withdrawal. Only Grand Admiral Vexthorin's flagship escaped, limping back toward Velthari space with a hull full of holes and a crew traumatized by their first real defeat. High Executor Threndalis received the report in stunned silence. 50 ships reduced to 1, the largest Velthari fleet ever assembled, destroyed by a species the Empire had dismissed as inferior insects. How? He asked the battered admiral on his screen. They don't fight like the others, Vexthorin replied. They sacrifice their own infrastructure to destroy us. They use civilian vessels as weapons. They turn everything into a trap. Admiral Kang Subin appeared on the Velthari command frequency without being invited. High Executor, this is Admiral Kang Subin. I have a message for your Empire. Threndalis's cluster eyes focused on her image. What message, human? We're done playing defense, she said simply. Now we come for you. The transmission ended, leaving the Velthari leadership in stunned silence. For the first time in 3 millennia, the Empire faced an enemy that fought back and won. High Executor Threndalis stood before the Supreme Hegemony Council, the ruling body of the Velthari Empire. For the first time in his career, he had to report failure. The humans have destroyed 2 of our fleets, he said, his voice hollow. They fight unlike any species we have encountered. Supreme Hegemon Krathvelos, eldest of the Velthari rulers, studied the tactical reports with growing disbelief. You propose retreat from a species that achieved spaceflight only 127 years ago? Their technology is primitive, but their tactics are... Threndalis searched for words. They think differently. They sacrifice their own assets to destroy us. They turn civilian equipment into weapons. They fight as if every battle might be their last. But President Yoon Tae-min and the Earth Defense Council had reached a different conclusion. In the secure briefing room aboard the Indomitable, strategic planner Lee Sun-young presented her analysis of captured Velthari data. We have the locations of their 2 most critical worlds, she announced. Velthari's prime, their homeworld, and capital, Doranis, their primary military shipyard. Admiral Kang Subin studied the star charts. Distance? 47 days at maximum speed using captured Velthari FTL drives, Lee Sun-young replied. But here's the important part. They've never fortified these worlds against attack. In 3,000 years, no enemy has ever threatened their core systems. President Yoon Tae-min's image appeared on the main screen via quantum relay. The decision is made. We take the war to them. If we wait, they'll keep sending bigger fleets until they overwhelm us. The human fleet that departed for Velthari space was unlike anything that had ever sailed between the stars. Every available ship had been converted into a weapon of war. Cargo haulers carried mining charges. Passenger liners housed assault troops. Even scientific research vessels had been armed with improvised weapons. Captain Song Ha-yeon's silent, Thunder led a squadron of modified freighters, each one fitted with captured Velthari FTL drives and packed with engineer Nam Gildong's latest creation, projectiles that could accelerate to 20% of light speed using modified mining equipment. "Remember?" Admiral Kang Subin addressed the fleet. "We're not trying to conquer the Velthari Empire. We're teaching them that threatening humanity has consequences." The journey to Velthari space took 6 weeks. During that time, the human crews studied every piece of captured alien data, learning about Velthari psychology, tactics, and weaknesses. Dr. Park Hee-jin's analysis proved crucial. They're a collective species. Individual initiative is discouraged. When separated from command structure, they become confused and ineffective. The first target was Doranis, the military shipyard world that had built Velthari fleets for centuries. Commander Park Jin-woo led the assault with 15 modified cargo ships and 3,000 human marines. The fortress world's defenses were impressive: massive orbital platforms, energy shields, automated defense systems. But they were all designed to stop large fleets attacking from predictable directions. Human ships approached Doranis from 17 different vectors, using the system's asteroid belt and gas giant moons as cover. The fortress defenders had never faced an enemy that split their forces into tiny units. "Target the communication arrays first," Park Jin-woo ordered. "Blind them before they can coordinate." Flight leader Kim Da-mi piloted her modified mining ship through the fortress defenses, her cargo bay full of fusion charges. Around her, other human pilots performed impossible maneuvers, using their ship's small size and agility to slip past weapons designed for capital ship combat. The shipyards that had built Velthari war fleets for 10 centuries burned in nuclear fire. Orbital platforms designed to be impregnable fell to enemies they couldn't effectively target. But the attack on Doranis was just a distraction. While the fortress world burned, Captain Ryu Jae-sung led the main human force to Veltharis Prime itself. The Velthari homeworld had never been attacked in the Empire's 3,000-year history. Its defenses were ceremonial rather than functional. "Remember," Ryu Jae-sung told his infiltration teams, "we're not here to kill civilians. We're here to break their command structure." The assault on Veltharis Prime began not with orbital bombardment, but with silence. Human computer specialists, led by former mining technician Oh Dong-min, had spent weeks studying Velthari communication systems. They turned the aliens' own technology against them. Communication networks failed. Life support systems malfunctioned. Transportation grids shut down. The proud capital of the Velthari Empire died quietly in the darkness, its population unable to coordinate or respond. High Executor Threndalis found himself trapped in his command center as human forces infiltrated the planetary government complex. When Captain Ryu Jae-sung finally reached him, the alien leader was alone, his staff scattered by the systematic shutdown of all command systems. "Impossible," Threndalis said, his cluster eyes wide with shock. "No inferior species has ever penetrated the homeworld." "We're not inferior," Ryu Jae-sung replied calmly. "We're just different. Your empire conquered species that fought the way you expected them to fight. We don't." The surrender broadcast went out on all Velthari frequencies. High Executor Threndalis, speaking from his captured command center, officially ended the war that had lasted less than 4 months. "The Velthari Empire hereby ceases all hostile actions against the human species," he said, his voice broken. We acknowledge their superiority in warfare." Admiral Kang Subin's response was broadcast throughout the galaxy. "We didn't come here to prove superiority. We came to teach a lesson. The lesson is simple: leave peaceful species alone, or face the consequences." 6 months later, Ambassador Park Hye-jin walked through the rebuilt halls of what had once been the Velthari Supreme Command. The building now housed the Galactic Cooperation Council, where 17 species that had hidden from Velthari oppression for centuries worked together on projects that would have been impossible under the old empire. Former war commander Deshtorak, one of the few Velthari officers who had survived the war, served as liaison between his people and the new alliance. We spent 3,000 years believing that might made right, he told Park Hye-jin. Humans taught us that cooperation makes right. President Yoon Tae-min delivered the opening address to the council's first session. Representatives from dozens of species filled the chamber, some who had hidden for millennia, others who had been presumed extinct. The Velthari ruled through fear, he said. But fear only works until someone stands up to the bully. Today we begin building something better. Commander Lee Dae-ho stood on the observation deck of New Seoul's rebuilt orbital station. Below him, the gas giant's clouds swirled in endless patterns. Around him, ships from a dozen different species worked together to harvest resources and build new homes. Children played in the station's gardens, human kids alongside young Velthari, the aquatic offspring of the extinct Kethnari, and crystal-based juveniles from the supposedly dead Drolvani civilization. The Velthari had 3,000 years to build an empire, Lee Dae-ho said to his aide. It took humans 4 months to show the galaxy that empires built on fear don't last. Engineer Nam Gil-dong, now Director of Cooperative Defense Systems, was training representatives from allied species in human tactical doctrine, not to conquer other worlds but to defend them. The key, he explained to his mixed species class, is thinking differently than your enemy expects. Don't fight their fight, make them fight yours. In the depths of space, Admiral Kang Soo-bin commanded a fleet unlike any that had ever existed. Human ships sailed alongside former Velthari vessels, all crewed by mixed species working toward the same goal, making sure no empire would ever again threaten peaceful civilizations. The galaxy had learned that humans didn't just fight to survive. They fought to win, and when they won, they built something better than what came before. The age of the Velthari Empire was over. The age of cooperation had begun, and it all started because some aliens thought humans were nothing more than inferior. Insects, never realizing that insects, when threatened, can bring down giants,